Hello, everybody, and welcome to the PHLY Eagles pregame show. A beautiful Sunday afternoon as the Eagles prepare to fight for the 2 seed with Tanner McKee at the helm. We are live from the Xfinity Lounge. We're presented by Bet365 and Ashley. And who are we? We are Bo Wulf and the great Devon Givens.
Hello.
Stepping in on a Sunday. How you doing, Devon?
Good to be here, man. You know, some of the backups have to play. That's why I'm here.
Love that.
Week 18 game.
You are our Tanner McKee, which you know coming from me is as big of a compliment as I could give.
I appreciate it. That's a great way to start 2026 to get that compliment. Thank you.
All right, so let's set the stakes here before we send it over to Lincoln Financial Field and hear from E.J. Smith about who's likely to play in this game, who's going to sit, and then we'll have a breakdown coming up as well from Fran Duffy about what Tanner McKee does well. But let's just sort of set the table here. We know that the Eagles are fighting for the 2 seed. In order to get the 2 seed, they have to beat the Commanders today and have the Lions beat the Bears, who play right at the same time at 4:25. If that doesn't happen, if either the Eagles lose or the Bears win, there are 2 possible opponents for the Eagles to play as the 3 seed. That depends on the result of the Rams and the Cardinals, which also happens at 4:25. If the Rams win that game, it would be the Eagles, the 3 seed, welcoming in the San Francisco 49ers coming off their bludgeoning at the hands of the Seattle Seahawks last night. If the Rams lose that game to the Cardinals, it would be the Rams coming here. How do you feel about those options, Devon, in terms of looking ahead to next weekend?
So right now, after watching the way that Seattle handled San Francisco last night, you see the 2 different teams. When you see San Francisco put up the big numbers that they did in the game before versus playing against a team like the Seattle Seahawks with the defense that they have, and seeing the Eagles defense play the way that they have and kind of carrying things for the Birds over the last couple of weeks, you feel a little confident about that. Now, look, the weapons are what the weapons are. We know Christian McCaffrey, of course, George Kittle, and Jahan Jennings, and so on and so forth. When you look down the roster, and Brock Purdy before yesterday was just putting up crazy touchdown numbers in the 2 games that they won. But here in Philadelphia, and yes, Shanahan, of course, with his revenge on the mind with how they play the Eagles.
Yeah,
exactly. But I would feel most comfortable with them coming into town than, let's say, the Rams.
I agree.
Or any of the other teams that we've discussed. I would say the 49ers. And look, when we were talking about this 3 weeks ago and watching Brock Purdy just go nuts against these defenses, you have a little fear about, man, can he just come in and shred the defense like that? But after seeing it again against Seattle, which has been fantastic all year long with their defense, and again, the Eagles playing the way that they are on that side of the football, I would feel most comfortable with San Francisco.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's shredding this defense.
No. And Christian McCaffrey can take a game over. We already know that.
Sure.
Yes, he can make you change things and all. But the one thing about the Eagles that I will say when talking about this, once we get into the playoffs, the Eagles that we see them do this stuff sometimes. I remember sitting with you a couple of years ago when I was on the show with you, and we were talking about some of the same issues.
Yeah.
Why are they not going to Olamide Zaccheaus? Why are they not throwing to right?
Wow, what a throwback.
Where's the third? Where's your third wide receiver that's seemingly open, especially if your tight end is down with an injury, and all these things that we would talk about. But when they get to the playoffs, if they're not playing Todd Bowles in that defense against Tampa Bay, they do things. They turn it up. They turn the dial up a little bit more. And I would be very curious knowing that after what they did a year ago and winning the championship, playing the way that they did, the really close games the game that they did play, the first one, but then going on and just dominating the way in which they did that, I would be shocked if they didn't handle their business at least round 1. We'll get to round 2 and round 3 and round 4 if they get there. But starting with the first one, I would be surprised again if they are not the team that just turns it up a dial one more, knowing what's at stake and the season, of course, on the line and defending your crown.
As for today's game, the Eagles, we know that Jalen Hurts is not going to play in this game. The inactives, Nakobe Dean, Marcus Epps was injured. Lane Johnson's injured. You know those guys. No Landon Dickerson. No Dallas Goedert. No Jalen Carter. No Jalen Phillips. I would imagine that there are going to be a lot of other starters who are not going to play in this game. I would be surprised if Jordan Davis plays. I don't think Saquon Barkley and A.J. Brown are going to play. Now, Devontae Smith may play in this game to chase 1,000 yards. He needs 44 to get there. We'll talk to E.J. about that in a second. But in terms of the Eagles' decision to rest guys this week rather than go all out for the 2 seed, what did you make of that?
I was good with it and relatively healthy all year outside of Jalen Carter missing a game or two, Lane Johnson, of course, Nakobe Dean missing some games. For the most part, they're once again going into the playoffs pretty healthy. So it's either 2 or 3, and if you feel good enough against this Washington Commanders team with their backup quarterback in the lineup that you can beat them, then I'm okay with this because there are enough guys and you have enough healthy backups that are hungry, that are looking to do some things, knowing that once the playoffs start, they're not going to get a lot of run, a lot of special teams things. So I'm good with it. I'm actually good with it, including – go ahead, Devontae Smith, Tanner McKee. Let's lock this up in the first quarter. Get a couple of catches for 44 yards and get out of here healthy, so you don't have to worry about that for the wild card game. So I'm fine with it. I'm okay with the call that Nick Sirianni decided on this.
And the nature of roster limits and stuff, they cannot sit everybody. There are going to have to be some starters, borderline starters, who do have to play in this game, which leads to my biggest complaint about this game, which we will get to in a few minutes. Let's talk to E.J. Smith now. Bring him in on the Xfinity Mobile call-in line live at Lincoln Financial Field. Oh, that is a Week 18, this game doesn't matter fit if I have ever seen one. How you doing, E.J.?
Oh, man. All right. That's the energy you want to start off with. I wasn't it's my last chance to get a Christmas one.
You know what's funny? I actually didn't see the polo. I thought it was just a T-shirt at first.
Yeah, no, I should have spruced up. You know,
that looks better.
I was staring
with the collar.
I was staring directly into
now
the
we're
sun,
looking good.
A few minutes ago. Now we're looking good. Yeah, thank you. Thanks. You see what I got to put up with, Devon? You see how my co-host treats me here?
He's a handsome man.
Looks good.
I appreciate that. Speaking of stylish people, Devontae Smith, I think he's going to play. He was in with the starting offense a few moments ago as they go through warmups. And as you mentioned earlier in the show, Bo, he's 44 yards away from 1,000 yards. And I know that some people maybe have skepticism over whether or not that should be important, but I think these guys value those milestones. I mean, they are milestones for a reason. You look back at your career and those things take on some added meaning. So yeah, it looks like he's going to play. There were some other surprises, I would say. It looks like Nolan Smith might be a part of this game. You know, they went pretty full strength at defensive line for a few reps at the start of again that team session. We saw Jordan Davis, and Nolan Smith, as I said, and Moro Ojomo up as a part of that defensive line. So I don't know if maybe this is Vic wanting those guys to get a few reps before turning things over to Josh Uche and Jalix Hunt for most of the game. But yeah, no, it surprised me to see those guys at least as part of the team to start.
Okay, well, that's going to lead to what my question is going to be here, EJ.
Yeah.
Is A.J. Dillon starting at running back today? Is he going to get every single carry?
I don't think he's going to start. I think it'll probably be Tank Bigsby that starts. Listen, I'm not going to.
Why is he on the team, EJ?
Short yardage.
They have no depth at defensive line. Even if Jordan Davis and Moro Ojomo and Nolan Smith are going to play a little bit, that means that in the second half it's going to be nothing but Jalix and or Brandon Graham at defensive end. They could have used that roster spot on Patrick Johnson, who's probably going to be elevated to play in the playoffs anyway, to play on special teams, so that they could have 3 running backs. For what? It's not like A.J. Dillon is on a long-term contract. You want to keep him around. What are they doing? It's insane. They deserve to lose.
I have no real rebuttal. Maybe A.J. Dillon, maybe he's bringing the positivity for this game. Maybe that's what they value here. But no, I mean,
clearly he has something on Howie. He or his agent, either it was in the contract that he was guaranteed to be on the roster all season long, or more likely they have incriminating evidence about the executive vice president and or owner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
You know, if Tank Bigsby hadn't looked the way that he looked throughout the season, maybe, I'm not saying I would have bought it, but maybe you could at least make the argument, if Saquon ever went down, you want that likeness in your backfield. You want a physical runner, but no, I'm with you. I mean, the numbers don't really make sense in a game where you're trying to rest as many guys as possible. In a game where like you cut the long snapper trying to make the numbers work, I do think that A.J. Dillon was a lever they could have pulled.
It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all.
I knew you were going to be worked up about this. And
you better check the language, EJ, in the contract, see if there's any incentives that A.J. Dillon needs in there.
Win this Super Bowl for the second year in a row and then fire the entire staff. That's how I feel about this decision. This is absolutely fireable. Okay, what are we going to see on the offensive line is in terms of those starter level guys who are going to play. Fred Johnson has to play. Is Tyler Steen going to start as well?
Yeah, I think Tyler Steen's going to start at right guard would be my guess based off of pregame warmups, and that means that Matt Pryor will be at right tackle and that Fred Johnson switches from the right side to the left side. I'll go on record, like, your A.J. Dillon thing. Like, I don't love moving Fred Johnson to left tackle for a week. He's been settled at right tackle for a while. Obviously, Lane Johnson's status for the postseason, I suspect the Eagles are hopeful that Lane Johnson will be back. But Fred's been on the right side all season, and there's a chance they'll need him on the right side in the playoffs. I wouldn't have messed with that. But again, they obviously feel comfortable with him playing both sides. I think they probably wanted to protect Tanner McKee's blind side a little bit more effectively by putting him over on the left side. You put your best guy there. So
I think I would say that is more important. And if you're weighing the two things, I think protecting Tanner McKee is more important than not messing up Fred Johnson's siding.
I disagree. If you think Fred Johnson, even if you think there's a small percentage chance that Fred Johnson's going to play a playoff game at right tackle for you, you don't want to mess with that to preserve your backup quarterback in the regular season finale where you've rested the starters.
I don't agree.
I feel like the risk is I feel like the risk is too high to mess with your playoff chances. Now this is like.
But why does that mess with him? Just to play on the other side? Why does that mess with him?
You hear from guys all the time. Now, listen, some guys are naturals at it. They're very comfortable switching from side to side. But a lot of those guys, they struggle switching from side to side. Obviously, Andre Dillard is a very obvious example of a guy who struged. But I mean, even
That's
different.
Jordan
Mailata used to have to play on both sides, and even he talked about how much it was a challenge for him. So no, I think once you have a guy that's settled on one side of the line, he's a playoff starter for you. Even if it's a small chance, he's a playoff starter for you. I don't like the idea.
But that is not as important as the small chance of what happens if Jalen gets banged up in the playoffs and now we have to bring in Sam Howell all of a sudden.
I mean, you're playing the percentages. There's a much higher percentage chance that Lane Johnson, who is currently injured, isn't going to be ready in a week, and you need Fred Johnson at right tackle. Than this scenario that you're playing out.
No, but that's not. But that's. The chances that Lane doesn't play, and the chances that this somehow messes up Fred Johnson, which is not a given.
Yeah, I wouldn't have messed with him. I feel like it's a higher percentage chance that you're going to mess with Fred Johnson than Tanner McKee is going.
This is what Week 18 is all about. These nonsense arguments that have absolutely no resolution to them.
Tackles.
Really good
stuff. It feels like training camp all over again. I love it. Yeah.
Now, how about the defensive side of the ball? We talked about up front where they're going to have to run somebody who shouldn't have to get run into the ground. What about the back seven? What do you expect that to look like?
Yeah, I think Jahan Campbell's going to play in this game, which is another argument that I come out on the right side of here. I think he needs reps. And I've stood by that.
No, doesn't mean that you're correct. It just means that that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, well, I think it's the right decision. I think it'll be him and Jeremiah Trotter Jr.
Okay.
I think that there'll probably be like a rotation at some point in the game, especially, we'll see how this Bears game plays out. But, it wouldn't surprise me to see a lot of Smile Mondin, just like it wouldn't surprise me to see a lot of Cameron Williams in this game. But again, maybe in the second half. So
talk about a baffling decision.
Yeah, I know. That's another one that was weird. I mean,
doesn't make any sense.
If you're not going to play him a lot, it just doesn't.
He hasn't been able to practice. They're going to throw this guy who couldn't make the team? Like, what are they doing?
I don't know. I think that they're bracing for like the potential that this is going to devolve into a third preseason game where a lot of guys are going to rotate out. So my only guess, your boy Brandon Johnson, I'd expect to see him at safety. It was Keely Ringo and Jacorian Bennett at outside corner during warmups with Michael Carter in the slot. So it'll be Sidney Brown and Brandon Johnson. I think that's the whole back seven. Now, I think it'll be interesting to see, how much Jahan Campbell plays because of what you've talked about. Like they will want to keep him healthy with Nakobe Dean's status still in question for next week. But I do think that, especially if you're Vic Fangio, you want to see Jahan Campbell get some quality reps in this game to feel better about him going into the playoffs.
I do think we should take a moment, and we'll have to do this on tomorrow's show as well, EJ, but just to appreciate the fact and to give the victory lap for someone to make an early call on Brandon Johnson as a Cam Crush, a guy who was considered like the 80th man on the roster, if that he's going to start the regular season finale. What an unbelievable eye for talent that person must have.
I give you credit. Honestly, you do have a good eye for talent in training camp. BLG has been pretty outspoken about your Darius Cooper love being a little derivative. So you got to
It's
take
not
Brandon
derivative.
Johnson
That's just being honest.
that he
was on him first. I say that all the time. But I mean, that doesn't mean that I'm going to pretend that he's not awesome.
Yes, and Brandon Johnson has been a nice guy to cover. He's a very friendly guy. So, it'd be interesting to see what he looks like out there. How do you feel about him at safety? Are you confident about that?
He's certainly undersized for the position.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see. He's a smart player.
Speaking of safety, I can make this about Cam Law too. He's got the hair down today. He's got the braids out. He's got the hair down. It's a little Sidney Brown vibes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, the two of them combined have a ton of special teams penalties, so maybe there is some connectivity there.
Yeah. I could see that, like offensive Sidney Brown. It works more in the position that Cam Latu plays, though. It's just go see defender, hit defender. A little bit more straightforward.
All right, so the big question here is what do you expect from Tanner McKee, and what do you expect from the offense? Because there is a real interesting subplot here about how the Eagles put this game plan together in a game where Jalen Hurts is not the quarterback, and does it look structurally different than the Jalen Hurts one?
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be instructive is one of my words, right? I think it is going to be really telling to see what the Eagles offense looks like today. Obviously last year it looked pretty significantly different with Tanner McKee under center for the regular season finale there. So I think especially with how much the Eagles offense has struggled, if they come out and it's heavy under center and it's heavy play action game, or there's concepts that we haven't seen very much of in terms of route concepts, then it is going to start to become a window into what this offense might look like if the coaching staff had full autonomy on the concepts that they install each week. So definitely going to be one of the things I keep my eye on. If I had to guess, I would guess it is what I've just alluded to there. A lot of under center, a lot of play action off of those looks, because I don't know, it just seems like, I know that the numbers don't necessarily bear it out that they're necessarily creative or productive out of those looks, but I at least think when they're in those looks, it feels like that they're working towards something. They have a plan at times, and it kind of does make the most sense. Like I've said on the show before, I can wrap my head around an under center game plan for this team, trying to hunt explosive plays off of those play action shots. And we saw it against the Bills. So I'd expect Tanner McKee is probably comfortable running those types of plays, and I think we'll see more of those than we probably do typically with Jalen Hurts.
All right. Let's close this, EJ, with a prediction for you on how today plays out. And why don't you add on a prediction about the games elsewhere?
Oh, that's a good one. I'm going to say the Eagles win this one in a low scoring, probably an ugly game. Division games are weird. Obviously, the Commanders I don't really know what to expect from the Commanders in this game. And it'll probably be a game that's determined by how it goes early. If the Eagles can get out to an early lead, is it something where both teams kind of want to coast to the finish line, or do the Commanders start to get, their tails up here and say, like, this could be a chance for them to kind of go out in the regular season on a higher note. So I think it's going to be a weird game, probably an unpredictable one, but I'm going to take the Eagles in like maybe a 21-13 scoreline, something lower scoring. And then I think the Bears are probably going to win elsewhere. So that'll lock the Eagles into the number 3 seed there. If you ask me who they're going to play, I think probably the 49ers. I know the Rams are trying to use this Cardinals game as like a get-right opportunity even before, like last night's result. I think the Rams are probably going to be full strength. So I think the Rams will beat the Cardinals. I think the Bears will beat the Lions. Honestly, I think it'll be chalk. I think the Eagles will win. So the Eagles will be the 3 seed, and they'll be playing the 49ers here next week. All
right. Thank you very much, EJ. We look forward to talking to you on the post-game show. Enjoy the game.
See you, man.
Thank you, guys. Talk soon.
All right. And with that, we will send it to our first and only commercial break of the pregame show. On the other side, we'll hear from Fran Duffy about Tanner McKee's strengths. So the other day I was over at AJ Dillon's house, and he didn't invite me over. I assumed that it was going to be vacant, because why on earth would he have any reason to still be here? I walk in. First of all, scared him, and I apologized. And he's sitting there with like 15 bunnies next to him, and he's watching the game, but it was awful. It was lagging. It was buffering. It was like I felt like I was getting fan-fished. And I said, AJ, first of all, you need to leave. We all agree. But before you do, let me fix this TV for you. And I got him some Xfinity. Because Xfinity, you get all the games going at once. No switching, no lagging, no buffering. Great stream. You get the 4K. It's fantastic. And there's also a 5-year price guarantee with Xfinity, where you can lock in your price for the next 5 years. Go to Xfinity.com. Xfinity, imagine that. Select plans only. Restrictions apply.
Got to tell you about Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And you need to be one of those 90 million users worldwide where you get an early payout offer as well. And you get to adjust things in-game with the live in-game betting, that this great feature there at Bet365. And when you do jump in there, you see count them, 30% profit boost for week 18 at Bet365 right now. New customers, if you're wondering, what are they talking about? How do I get involved in this great thing here of Bet365? Well, new customers, you jump in and you get $150 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's right. You heard it correctly. Win or lose, $150 bonus bets. All you have to do is sign up. Use code PHLY365. When you do, deposit $10, place a bet for $5, and you get $150 win or lose credited to your account. And those bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more, whatever the moment, at Bet365. It's never ordinary. Must be 21 plus, physically located in Pennsylvania. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right. Back on the PHLY Eagles pregame show. Before we send it to Frank, I'll tell you about a fun event going on Wednesday, just around the corner from the offices here. We got a collab podcast event featuring our friends at Cheap Seats. You know the guys. They're doing a double podcast, essentially, with the guys at City Pigeons.
Look at that.
Beginning the quest for LX as the Eagles try to repeat as Super Bowl champions. There's a good deal for Diehards. They're saving a few tickets for the Diehards. So go check that out and go have some fun. All right. All eyes, I think, not just in Philadelphia, but across the NFL today on Tanner McKee. Somebody going to trade for him in the offseason? What kind of performances are he going to put up? What kind of things will the Eagles do on offense that lean into Tanner McKee's strengths? Fran Duffy breaks it down.
All right, guys, so obviously we're going to see plenty of Tanner McKee here today. So I thought, all right, you know what, why don't we just do a little bit of a rewind, a little bit of a refresh? What can we expect to see from the now third-year quarterback out of Stanford, former early day 3 pick for the Philadelphia Eagles? Well, Tanner McKee did a really good job playing Week 18 last year, similar situation against the New York Giants, and was able to consistently move the ball. He made plays inside and outside of structure. Let's take a look at 3 of my favorite plays from that game. And what we saw was a lot of under center, a lot of play action, some play action from the pistol as well, but a lot where he's turning his back to the defense and then coming back and being able to make a read and get the ball out quickly. Here's a good example. His first touchdown against the Giants, it came in the red zone where you've got a little bit of a heavy look here from the Eagles offense. You've got wide receiver Johnny Wilson essentially playing as like a quasi tight end here on this play. He comes in motion. He's going to release inside the formation and run a deep corner route. You're going to get the running back out of the backfield somewhere to the flat, and then you're going to have Ainias Smith coming on the over route from the opposite side. A nice, easy 3-level stretch where you've got 1, 2, and then 3 reads here for Tanner McKee, where again, he's going to get his eyes to the flat and just kind of read a high-low read. Is he going to have that ability to hit the end zone here for a touchdown to Wilson? He doesn't like that throw. He sees a couple defenders getting underneath this route to the flat, so now his eyes get back to the intermediate route to Ainias Smith. He does a good job of getting into a good, proper throwing set here, a nice base, gets his hips flipped around, and he's able to hit Ainias here for his only NFL touchdown. Nice job there from Tanner McKee. So we know, look, the Eagles, they want to try and incorporate more and more of that play action. We've heard Nick Sirianni talk about that in recent weeks. He talked about it after the game against the Buffalo Bills. But you need to be able to also operate on some of those early down things where it can't be play action every single time. So straight drop back. Do you have the ability to operate, get the ball where it needs to be? And you see the Eagles here in a condensed set. This is not going to be under center play action. You've got McKee here in the shotgun with a running back to his right. He's going to drop back, and he's got a deep curl route here from a wide receiver. You've got someone to the flat. You're going to have the tight end, Grant Calcaterra, coming across on a shallow cross route. You've got a deep over route here as well. So you've got a few routes at his disposal here on the drop back. Now, he doesn't like what he sees with the deep curl route, so he says, all right, I'm not going to throw this here. He sees Calcaterra's kind of locked up. You got a deep safety over top of this over route. So he really quickly, Tanner McKee here, understands, hey, the pocket's closing in. I got to get this ball out quickly. So his body clock is already going off. He's dealing with pressure. He does a nice job of stepping up and out. So he's not the most fleet of foot quarterback that you're going to come across. He's not going to run around and try and make plays, but manage a muddy pocket, keep your eyes down the field, and understand where are your answers against pressure. And he had Will Shipley coming out of the backfield here, running a little Texas route over the ball. He's able to get this ball to Will Shipley after avoiding that pressure. Again, with his eyes downfield, he hits Will Shipley for a first down. Really nice job there of operating outside of structure. Once the play broke down, again, he's not going to run around and scramble, but understand where your answers are on any given play. But you're always going to run into third and longs. Those are going to happen, and we know with this Eagles offense, that has been more common than not over the course of this season. So when you get into third and long, it's 3rd and 15. What are you going to do? How can you operate here in a straight drop back formation? Well, you've got what is a mirrored route concept. Mirrored routes means that you've got the same concept to both sides of the field here. So you've got deep corner routes with routes to the flat. You've got a one route working down the middle of the field as well. So now if you're the quarterback, you're basically picking a side. Some of that's going to happen on the pre-snap read. Some of it's going to happen on the post-snap read. You can see McKee. He's just staring right down the middle here to make sure that these safeties stay anchored in the middle of the field, because if they get too wide and get over top of these routes on 3rd and long, well, now you're going to be forced to check down. You're going to be forced to punt. He does a good job of holding his eyes to the middle of the field, and now you're going to have Jahan Dotson, because you held that safety. You're going to have Jahan Dotson here. This route did its job of holding this corner. This corner probably should try and sink here, get a little bit more depth, and take away this deep vertical route. But he's going to deliver this ball out towards the sideline, past the sticks. He hits Jahan Dotson for a first down. You get Kevin Patullo giving Jahan Dotson the little butt slap there at the end for good measure. So Tanner McKee, operate the play action under center game. You're going to see him understand where his answers are when he's under pressure, and then go out and execute on 3rd and long. You want to see that here from Tanner McKee in this game against an aggressive Washington defense.
I mean, anytime you get a Fran breakdown and the phrase butt slap, you know you're cooking with gas.
Yeah, I didn't expect that last one.
Thank you, Fran.
Yeah,
all right.
Good stuff.
Time now for our best bets presented by Bet365. Now, this was tough because, like the rest of us, the good folks at Bet365 do not know what to expect from this game. So there's not a lot of options. You get the Tanner McKee over-unders, but there's nothing for the Eagles on rushing, nothing for the Eagles on receiving. You get some touchdown bets. So we're both...
That's pretty much it.
That's basically what we're doing here. Now listen, I don't know why he's here, but I feel like there's maybe some comeuppance coming to me, or this is the Eagles just proving this is the only reason they kept him on the roster this whole time. They're going to feed A.J. Dillon when they get inside the 5-yard line. So I'm going to go plus 400 on an A.J. Dillon touchdown. And then, I'm betting on Darius Cooper.
Have to.
I mean, I bet the mortgage on it.
Have to.
Plus 200 on a Darius Cooper touchdown. That's where I'm going. How about you?
I like it. I do like it. And as soon as A.J. Dillon gets that touchdown, I'm going to look right over to you and see what happens.
He should still be cut.
Yeah, he should still be
Nothing
cut.
against the guy, but I mean.
I went with the other running back, not Will Shipley, not A.J. Dillon. I went with Tank Bisbee, who will probably get the most touches, I would think.
You would think.
Yeah, I would think. And look, we saw him break a few. The one game where he and Saquon Barkley both had the 100-yard games. Looked really good, and once they started to give him the rock, I felt like he's done a really good job. Now, I know the offensive line is not great, but I do think he gets in the end zone. That's a plus 135 for me. And Jake Elliott, I think he's going to be busy. Score a touchdown. Either way, with the way that we talked about, Bo has 2 touchdowns. I have 1.
There you go.
Going to get some points there, and I also think he's going to get some field goal, get some work in before the playoffs start, because they're going to need him in the postseason. So that's a plus 144. Jake Elliott over 6.5 points this afternoon.
So for you, Devon, aside from Tanner McKee, who are you most interested to watch today?
I am interested in Tank Bigsby Park, just because I'm curious to see how they may work that together. The The defensive side, it's tough because how many of them are actually going to play when outside of the Jahan Campbell and the guys up front, how many of the guys in the secondary are actually going to play? And I don't really see many of them, maybe Keeling Ringo on special teams, Brown as well. But I would say Bigsby on the offensive side, see how that looks. And that's pretty much it for me. Also, Jahan Dotson, just because he's always out there, and when he's in the Super Bowl, he just catches touchdowns. So it's the playoffs.
I think if you think about guys who might have to be called into action in the case of injury in the playoffs, it will be interesting to watch Ringo and Jacorian Bennett on the outside.
Yeah.
Because it's been Ringo lately whenever somebody on the outside just gets nicked up for a few plays. I think Jacorian Bennett could probably grab that mantle if he has a good game today. That's one. In terms of big picture, I would like to see, this will be a fun chance to watch Jeremiah Trotter get a full game at linebacker, because if you expect that Nakobe Dean moves on this offseason, can you pencil Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in as your LB3 next season behind Zach Bond and Jahan Campbell? Other than that, I'm curious to see Drew Kendall playing a full game at center. That's close to about it, aside from obviously my boys, Brandon Johnson, Darius Cooper, and Tanner McKee.
Yeah, and look, Fred Johnson, we've seen him on the right side, haven't seen him on the left a lot, so keep an eye on that. Keeping the blind side clean for Tanner McKee here this afternoon, but that's pretty much it. And Trot, that's a good call there to see exactly how that goes, because that Nakobe Dean situation is going to be interesting. He has been fantastic since he's come back, but he keeps getting injured. I know, and he's going to want a good contract.
Guys, right?
Exactly, yeah.
All right, before we close things out here, Devon, what is your prediction for the result of today's game? And give us the other outside games as well.
Yeah, so I was right there with EJ, somewhere in that ballpark. 23-13 Eagles winning this one, and that'll also, just for me, with the Jake Elliott 6.5 points, that works out for me overall with the Bet365 picks. I do see Chicago winning as well, and I think it works out that way there, where I just think the Bears, the Lions, I don't know what's going on there. I don't know, but it doesn't look good, especially when your coordinator goes to Chicago and decides to become one of the Coach of the Year finalists there. So I'm going to go there. And as far as the other games and looking at Rams-Cardinals had no shot. Rams, after that loss last week that they suffered, they want to go into the postseason on a high note. So Bears, Rams, Eagles, they all win.
Okay. I agree about the outside games.
Okay.
I think the Rams win. I do think the Bears win. I think Tanner McKee has an awesome game. I think that's just how good he is. He's gonna succeed no matter the circumstances. But I cannot, in good conscience, pick a team that is choosing to have A.J. Dillon on the roster. I cannot do it. I cannot lie to you. I respect you too much. There's karmic payback for decisions like that. And so I think the Commanders are going to win this game, which, by the way, would be probably good for the Eagles. And if the Eagles already know that they can't get the 2 seed, give the Commanders a worse draft pick, they would be doing a bad job. I think that if the Commanders want to really throw Philadelphia into a tizzy, the best thing they can do is let Tanner McKee throw for 450 yards and light the city on fire. But I can't do it. I can't pick an A.J. Dillon team to win this game, given the roster mechanics. So I'm going to say Commanders win this game 31-30. Tanner McKee still lights it up.
A.J. Dillon fumbles
with the game on the line.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh,
and that's actually, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should say the Bears lose, the division is there, and then A.J. Dillon fumbles away the game in the Eagles' back end as the 3 seed. But either way, we're going to have some fun watching all these guys play today. Join us for the halftime show.
Yes.
And then, of course, the post-game show presented by our friends at Bet365. And Ashley here from the Xfinity Lounge. Super Bowl champion Vinny Curry will be with us. Enjoy the game, everybody. We will talk to you at halftime. Thank you, Lindsay. And as always, we love you.
We all silly like the mayor.